Hello and welcome. New Zealand have bounced back after a scare against Afghanistan, with Latham and Glenn Phillips leading the fight back against Afghanistan. Gave the Kiwis a scare at the beginning when they took quick wickets. Remains to be seen what happens next. Will Afghanistan pull another shock upset, or will the New Zealand continue their streak? Remember, South Africa was stunned by Netherlands just yesterday, and joining us on this broadcast are three important guests. Christopher Pofu, Zimbabwe former cricketer who's played for Zimbabwe for over a decade and a half. Dev Tyagi and Tasmin Granger, the women's cricketer and a still active player in the national side. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. I'd like to go on to Christopher. Chris, do you think it was a scare of Chennai and scare of Dharamshala and Delhi, that what you're seeing right now on your television?
Definitely. What is happening, like I said in the beginning of this tournament, you're not going to only see one shocker of this World Cup. You are about to see quite a lot of them. And I still believe this score with Afghanistan, with their confidence, is really up at the moment. And I've got a feeling that if they really start well, we could be talking about something different again at the end of this match. Like you said, New Zealand didn't start well. And I've got a feeling that at the same time, Afghanistan, if they do start well, we could be talking something different.
Well, absolutely. We're looking at something different. Dave, what is the current score right now? You've got the latest pulse on it.
So with 15 deliveries left in this game, it's 255 for 6. Captain Latham is just out after playing a captain's innings, scoring a fantastic, much-needed 50.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the weather? Do you think it's a par 250 par score pitch right now that we have?
They should be targeting anything in the confines of 270 should be good. And of course, the idea of New Zealand then to defend that target would be to click with some early wickets. They have the fast bowling arsenal to do that.
Right.
And but never underestimate Afghanistan.
Christopher, when you saw the first power play of the day today, were you happy with the way the bowlers were bowling, or were you sad the way batters were not putting or applying their mind?
I'll still back it up on terms of good bowling. Sometimes I think we tend to say that batters didn't play the right shots, but we have to also give credit to the bowlers who do the right thing of putting the ball in the right areas. And I've been impressed, especially early on, even from the last match, how Faruqi has tried to pitch the ball up. So I'm still impressed also at the same time, giving credit to the bowlers.
Absolutely. The credit goes to the bowlers. Of course, do you think the spin trio and the spinners are doing the job well, or do you think it's the seamers who are going to come to the party later when the lights come on, Chris?
I still think when the lights come on, New Zealand, for me, their seamers are the key thing if they want to get inroads, especially with their fast bowlers who've been doing quite really well. So I think they will definitely play a big role. Yes, they've got the spinners, but we see like a guy like Glenn Phillips also tries to come in and bowl some few overs. But I'll say it really lies on their fast bowlers on how they strike early with the new ball. If they get it to swing, that will be the big question also. And under lights, that plays a big role also.
Absolutely. Lights will play a big role. Dave, what are the statistical polls that you have for the fans today?
It was rather unfortunate that Glenn Phillips, whose highest individual ODI score prior to this game was 72, got out today for 71.
Right.
But this remains his best score in a World Cup game against Afghanistan. Tom Latham, who played a captain's inning, as I reiterated, actually scored 68.
Right.
That's just his second ever ODI outing against Afghanistan, therefore meaning his best ever score against Rashid Khan and company.
Absolutely, Rashid Khan and company. Chris, are you happy with the way things are unfolding? Especially the seamers are coming to the party as well. And do you think it's a bowler's game, or the batters are dominating?
I think at the moment I'll say it is balanced. You look at the game yesterday in Ireland against South Africa. When you see bowlers actually coming in to defend a score like 240, for me that tells you that bowlers are not just laying there and saying it is a batter's paradise. Guys, at the moment, I think I can say it's balanced. I'm seeing runs being scored, and I'm seeing bowlers also coming to the party when it really matters the most.
Absolutely, the bowlers coming to the party as well. One quick question, one thing that amused every fan yesterday was a slip on and a paper that was passed on very quietly into the Netherlands side. You saw that where the paper, this thing was given to the players. Would you subscribe to that theory that it's okay to pass on the chits for the matchups, or do you think it's something that a captain should keep in mind?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's my own thinking. I've seen that being done even with the team from Scotland. Normally, there's a player, what's his name, the left-arm spinner. He does that well. He says that it reminds him, yes, you know, you can, a game like that, you need someone to think fast, but there's nothing wrong also just bringing on the message and just passing it to those guys. I thought it was something different, and it just brings a little bit of different things into the World Cup.
Let me put you in a spot. Since you're a player, does it remind you of someone called the late Hansi Cronje and his World Cup thing with the late Bob Woolmer? Remember that discussion? Is it a step? Is it a step below that?
Yeah, definitely. When you look at, like I said, you want to just bring a little bit of vibe. For me, that takes me, you just reminded me of that. And for me, it takes us back to that moment and having it to being redone again when it comes to 2023. Oh, well, something, you know, we always want to see a bit of show in the World Cup, and I love seeing such things.
Well, drama is all we want to see, but also an additional thing that aids the team is also welcome, as long as it is in the confine of the MCC rule book.
Definitely.
Something that we have on the screen right now is very important. Remember, it's the 30 overs, or 30% of the World Cup is through. The matches are on the way, and this is what we have. I have my colleague with me, Tasmin Granger, who's played for 15 years for Zimbabwe. And this is what we have on the screen right now. The team standing. Team standing is very important. First on the screen we have is India. India with 3 matches, 3 wins, no losses, 6 points, and a net run rate of 1.82. New Zealand very much depends on today's game, where they go, whether they lead the table, points table or not. It needs to be seen. The game is on. South Africa, you have 3 matches, 2 wins, 1 losses. Absolute colossal loss. And they're suddenly back at 1.38. Pakistan, they were never considered the favorite. It was only few people who could think that they could make a comeback. They're not doing too great. If you see, they've got 3 of the easiest matches. They've lost 1, and they've won 2. And the net run rate is minus 0.1.37. This is the first 4 right now, Chris. Are you satisfied with the way, Chris, the way things have happened? India at number 1. And then you have New Zealand at number 2. Number 3 is South Africa. 4 is Pakistan. What is your take, Chris?
As I said it also in the beginning of the tournament, I said my top 4 guys, that the team that would definitely go through. You've said those 3, and then it will be a debate now. I said England, but we saw them being shaken a little bit. So I still believe that England is going to be number 4. Those 4 teams, for me, are the ones that I'm definitely looking forward to them making. And at the moment, those standings, I'm quite happy. Just I would have loved to see England being at number 4. But oh well, it's still early doors. We'll see how it goes.
Well, Tasmin, we're going to look at New Zealand right now. The net run rate is languishing behind India. 1.82 is India, 1.604 is New Zealand. Do you think they'll have an eye on the table or the point or the net run rate too in today's context?
Definitely, I think New Zealand will be looking to obviously come out there and put the runs on the board as they're currently doing right now. As you can see, they're trying to finish strong as compared to the way they've been going about it, just casually looking for those 1s and 2s to keep the board ticking. They have come out guns blazing, trying to push the score towards the end.
South Africa, number 3. What do you think of South Africa? Have they got it down, or do you think they were always at 3, 4, 5, or perhaps 6? Fans want to know that.
I think South Africa's been doing well. I take nothing away from them. You have to learn the lesson from the loss, obviously, yesterday. So I take nothing from them, and I don't write them off just yet to find themselves placed most probably 2nd on the table, depending obviously on how New Zealand's game goes today.
Well, Pakistan, that's at number 4. Do you think Pakistan, it's too early for them to celebrate? Are they on the edge right now? They can even go back to number 8 after the way things have happened? Your views, Tasmin.
I definitely think Pakistan stands a high chance of staying where they are. They are playing good cricket at this moment, but you definitely expect England to come back fighting extra hard, especially after the loss against Afghanistan.
Chris, you have England, Bangladesh, Australia. Do you think Australia still has a chance? Because they are somewhere at number 8. Your views on Australia at number 8?
For me, I'll say yes, they won the game yesterday, but they are not playing the cricket that I know from Australia. That's why at the moment, I'll definitely write them off. I know it might be early days, but the cricket I know, Australia normally is one of those teams that they go hard and you enjoy. At the moment, I haven't enjoyed that cricket that I expect from them. That's why I still say in my top 4, I will not put Australia in there.
Do you think they can ever make a comeback, considering the way things have happened right now and how the brand of cricket that they've played and the kind of cricket they've been known for? Do you think it's a great, there's a gap between the two, the expectation and the delivery? Your views, Chris?
Definitely, that's what I was trying to emphasize, that it is not the Australia that we have come to know. It's not the brand that we all know from Australia. That's why I'll definitely, at the moment, I am not putting them up there with the best team for the World Cup. So definitely, I'll still say yes, England lost, but I know them though still bounce. They've got a tricky game against South Africa, which I believe South Africa will still pull through. So it's a little bit of a tricky World Cup, but I still say those teams are my top 4.
Tasmin, you've played in the international cricket tournaments across for the last decade and a half. Just help us understand a loss, an inconsequential match like yesterday has opening up for the other teams which have no bearings to it, which are not playing, which are not expecting to win or lose, but it has an opening for someone like Pakistan. Do you think they're playing lucky? And if yes, explain it to our fans out there, how and what makes them lucky.
I think obviously, so Pakistan will be actually super happy with the loss yesterday on South Africa's part, because that does not make the gap. It helps them decrease the gap between the two teams, obviously. Not only does South Africa not gain any net run rate based on their game last night, but as well as they have now one loss as well. So if Pakistan goes through with a clean sheet of their next 3 games, most possibly, they have the chance to actually top South Africa based on them losing just one more match.
So you mean to say if Pakistan does well, it's bye-bye for England, Australia, and also Sri Lanka. And these are all World Cup champions in the previous edition.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I'm unfortunately against Bobby on this one, and I'm rooting for Pakistan because I believe they've put in the work thus far, leading up to the campaign as well as so far in the tournament. Obviously, didn't get the best start, lost one game, only just coming up into this. But teams like England now have to make sure that they work extra hard and they don't lose a match this far.
England at number 5, Afghanistan at number 6, Bangladesh at number 7. From here onwards, Chris, we want to know how important it is to not only win the match, but also take care of the net run rate, because from here onwards, your net run rate decides who gets the 3rd and the 4th position. Remember the previous World Cups, because this is a round robin where every team has to play the other team and not only gather the points, but also the net run rate. So what you're seeing here, which is the yellow part on your screen right now, becomes increasingly important as the points and the matches won. Chris, our next question, the fan question is, do you think it's difficult for England and Australia to pull it through? We've spoken about Australia. Do you think England has some firepower, or Sri Lanka? It's curtains for Sri Lanka, who played really good when the qualifiers happened in your country.
I get biased when it comes to. I still believe that England has got the firepower to do that, to win games and still go at a good run rate. So at the moment, when it comes to Sri Lanka, it's a little bit, they'll get the points, but I feel like they're not also playing the same cricket that they played down here in Zimbabwe. And also, you talk about, for me, he made a huge difference. So I don't see them going a lot forward because of such reasons, but I still believe that England, for me, I still put them there. Yes, they've got a tricky game against South Africa. Like you playing at the moment, you're playing like every game is your semi-final to each and every team. So I believe that England, for me, is the one team that I'm sure they would, when you talk about run rate, they'll definitely compete in terms of that.
Chris, there's been a lot of chatter about how you start your campaign. Because remember, going into a bilateral series or a quadrilateral series is different from playing a tournament where you have 10 of the best teams in the world. How different is it for a team to make their match practice? Because they can't do matchups with every team. So the first 3 matches, they are looking for the win. Now the next 3 matches, what do you think a team's strategy would be?
At the moment, you also try by all means not to over try, because there's a tendency of trying to get into that board, and then you tend to lose more games. So at the end of the day, it's about just trying to be as calm as you can. Think of and say whatever has happened, it has happened. Now you concentrate on the game at hand, because there are chances that, like at the moment you talked about the issue of run rate. I've got a feeling that some teams might try and work on the run rate and end up losing the game because of trying by all means to catch up with the run rate. So like you're just talking about this issue about winning or losing the first 3 games, you might end up trying too much and lose the game. So for me, it's just having the same processes. Don't try and overdo things, because that could even backfire on you. So for me, I'll definitely say go out there and just be yourself. And those things, they normally take care of themselves by not even trying so hard.
Very important point you made, and I would like to go back to my colleague Tasneem here. Tasneem, you've got to look at the overall picture here and just tell your fans exactly how they should not. Just explain on what Bob said and say that how the teams get into the temptation of playing a little extra, going the extra mile, hitting the ball a little extra, and that's where the problem happens. Remember the Afghanistan game where he was just opening the face rather than hitting the ball outside the park? You've got to explain it to the fans what it means.
So definitely, just to expand a bit more on what Chris has said, it is at the stage right now where I'm sure in the locker room, coaches, everybody behind are reminding you, whatever's happened in the first 3 phases of the game, let it go. Whether you've won, whether you've lost, whether you're India, sitting at the top of the table. Right now, what you do need to concentrate on is playing with the momentum you have, and if you don't have any, create something to work with. You can't go at it saying that we're chasing down net run rate and you're going to lose a game because it's not going to constitute too much.
It has happened in the past where teams go out to go that little extra and they end up losing the match, and we've seen that in the die-hard stages. Before we come on to this and close the program, we'd like to get to my colleague out there, Dave. Dave, what is the latest update of the match so that we can come back to the table right now? Dave, over to you.
You may not call it a very comprehensive score, but definitely a very competitive total, 288 for 6 of the final 50 overs. You have to remember, they started the 41st over with the score reading 185.
Right.
So they've actually scored 100 odd runs in the final 10 overs, and 139 of those collectively came from the bats of Glenn Phillips and Tom Latham.
Oh my God. So this is that 10 over, 100 runs. Is it the new template, Chris? Before we go to Tasneem and close the show.
Definitely. Now it comes to the issue of wickets in hand. And like you said, yes, they didn't start well, but at the end of the day, they had those wickets to set up the platform for someone like Phillips or Chapman or Latham. Right. And you always have a good setup. So for me now, the difference will be Afghanistan starting well also, not like how New Zealand started. So that will be the way for them. If they want to win this game, they have to start well.
It's a question to both the players. Chris, I'm going to ask you. It's hot, it's humid, it's Afghanistan is chasing, they've got their tails up. Do you think it's Afghanistan or it's the Kiwis?
You know me, how I go. I'll definitely go Afghanistan. Sounds funny, but I'm going Afghanistan for this game. I just want things to get interesting, yeah.
Well, you're a fan of Cinderella Man. I know that movie. Tasneem, we come to you. We've done this discussion. Do you think in the last 3 teams of the tournament, do you think it's curtains for Sri Lanka, Netherlands, Australia and Bangladesh? Do you think it's...
Definitely, they do find themselves in a very tough spot, because one thing you must remember is the guys that are ahead of them on the table are in no position or in no way stepping down, taking their foot off the gas. They're still chasing, they're still hitting hard. Everyone above them, being Bangladesh, Afghanistan and probably England, mainly Afghanistan and England, are still gunning to get into the top 4 as well.
Is it the Kiwis or the Afghanistan team?
I'm going to go with the Kiwis on this one, unfortunately.
Absolutely. We've got 2 Zimbabweans, 2 international players who played over 15 years of international cricket, but they've got diverse views. Dave, what's it for you before we end up this show?
Never discount the power that the Afghanistanis can bring to the game, but Kiwis game to lose.
Absolutely. We've got a divided house, and that's what we want. We've got the fans' voice here in the studio. We're talking about the important issues of the World Cup beyond what you see. We're getting into the statistical analysis. We're getting into the views and what happens in the locker room with two of the star players, and also more joining us in the morning. That's all we had time for. Thank you for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.